Hey everybody, I'm Chad Eckert and that's Joe Idoni, and this is the Preferred Lines podcast. Find us on iTunes and YouTube and follow us on Twitter, Preferred Lines. Here we go. The first major of 2020 is finally here. The PGA Championship. Joe, you kicked it off. You already got us a video out on the internet. It's on our YouTube page of the course preview. I learned some stuff from that video. You want to review that real quick for us?
Yeah, sure. So a couple things. This course sucked, right? Up until like 2000. So it's a really old course, 1925 original design. I said in the video, it was like a fucking goat ranch in the mid 90s. They used it as a parking lot at one point. Mid 2000s, huge revival. They caught a WGC in 2005 and 2015, kind of brought it back to life and it brought some money into the event and the area and the course. And then Q 2020, where they were rewarded the PGA Championship. I think it's going to be pretty tough. I've talked to a guy on Twitter who's on the grounds at the course. I've been DMing with him. He said the rough is pretty lush. They trimmed it from a par 72 to a par 70. It's a major, right? It's going to be tough. They're going to set this place up to be challenging as possible for the players. I'm excited for it.
And we also learned, Joe, that it's not warm on the coast of San Francisco, even though it's August.
I know. I learned that. I assumed, I guess, not knowing much about my geography on the west coast of the USA, that it was just nice in California, right? In the middle of August, in the first week of August in the summer. Apparently it's not. It's quarter zip weather. It's windy. It's chilly. It gets hot. It gets cold. So we've got that as an added in factor and bonus thing to try and, coordinate this week.
Definitely. We are on a major, so that requires a major guest, Joe. And boy, did you deliver for us by, you know what? It's not what you know, it's who you know in this industry. And Joe, you have connections to the tippity tip top of the betting world, Geoff Fienberg. Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? We're going to talk to him.
Jeff's the man. Everybody knows it. Needs really no introduction. Let's not waste any time. Let's get right to it. Let's talk to the man himself, the legend, Geoff Fienberg.
Well, what do we have here? We have Geoff Fienberg, our Front Nine segment guest this week for the major. He's a co-host of a weekly show on the Pat Mayo Experience. It's a betting show you can find on Mondays. And he's now with Odds Checker. What's up with Odds Checker? That's cool.
Yeah, no, good times. I always loved Odds Checker. So when they hit me up, it just kind of felt natural. I use Odds Checker all year, anytime. Pretty much it's a 12. Joe will tell you, getting some of these major numbers, it's like a 12-month a year endeavor. Mm-hmm. It really is. I'm not one of those people that's afraid to leave money in a book to bet a major. I'm going to bet it anyway. I bet, like, not small, but I'm not betting, like, big where, like, I'm going to miss the money. You could, I don't know. You could take that for what it's worth. I've posted winning tickets before. That's what I bet. So if that money is sitting in a book, that doesn't bother me. That being said, back to Odds Checker, I use it all year. I think a number's good. You see it, you right there. How that number works compared to the market. I don't know. It's like grocery shopping, but for bets, and it makes perfect sense for a guy like me. So I'm happy to promote them and make videos with them.
Very cool, man. They got quite a get when they signed you to the deal. So good for you, good for them. But here's what we're here for, man. So you're a little bit in the hot seat. We're going to kind of go back and forth, shoot you some questions, try to pick your brain a little bit. Are you ready to roll?
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, first up, this isn't about the PGA yet. We kind of want to learn about you a little bit. Earliest memories of making golf bets for Geoff Fienberg?
Probably just some Tiger bets for sure. Like I would have been one of those guys just betting Tiger. Even at like a plus 250, it wouldn't have bothered me or stopped me per se. Didn't know much about the other players. Didn't really care for the other players. They were all simply inferior. Maybe once in a while I'd bet Phil. Yeah, so around then I'd do stuff with Cam and I'd get in on tournaments and tail other guys, the guys that he had on. And that whole thing of like a six-pack really started with Cam. Like on Wednesday, do a six-pack. I didn't bet guys before. I certainly didn't bet 6 or 8, like I might do now if you add in a couple bombs. So that's really where the germ for me in golf started.
Well, then you switched. I know now, Geoff, you're on one of the more, we all watch it, right? The show with Pat every week. It's must see, must listen stuff for all of us. So we're new to this. This is like episode 9 for us. Talk to us kind of a little bit about the early days of the PMV and what did you guys at one point have kind of that aha moment of, we see some downloads, we're onto something here, this is cool?
Yeah, kind of. Not like right away, but you could tell like instantly. Okay, put it this way. I wasn't doing any on-air stuff. I was more producing and stuff with like Gabe and Cam, and they would include producers on air. So I'd been on air and done my own things with some ventures, but just like getting to know Pat sort of in the back office. He worked on his own project, building his own monster. We'd have like good golf conversations, like maybe like half a year before we ever did podcasts. And we just like, yeah, let's do something. We kind of remember it differently, but yeah, we just started doing them, I think, for the majors, maybe even like the PGA Championship. One year we just did it. That would have been the last major of the year. So the whole year had gone, and there's some like good positive feedback, but I don't know. I wouldn't really say we were onto something really until like Willet, but in the lead up to Willet, we were having a lot of fun and we were hitting some winners too. And we were doing things that like weren't quite being done yet, like talking about golf with like the same passion people talk about like baseball and like football and like it just wasn't really happening.
Tell me about the Willett story. The Masters.
Yeah, what do you mean the Willett story?
Well, if you haven't heard, I mean, obviously we know, but like
like just picking him?
Yeah, like how did it come about? Willett.
I don't know. There's not much to it really other than we did the show. We hit some winners. We thought it was a fancy little pick. The guy was a fancy little player in Europe, winning tournaments. It's like 150 to 1.
Yeah.
Again, like he won again, like the night after the Super Bowl, the one that Carolina got beaten down by the Broncos. He had won in Europe again that week. I think that was like off a Hideki Ricky playoff in Phoenix. And I bet Carolina. I lost my shirt that day. But I told all my buddies, I even tweeted that night, like, if you like won money on the Super Bowl yesterday, here's this guy like Danny Will. He's 150 to 1. Like, it won't be 150 to 1. You know who's going to win? No. We had fucking fun with it. We still kind of do. But we're just this number. He won't be 150 to 1. And he went off that week at 66 to 1. And he actually fucking won. So that sort of gave us this thing that we got a little bit of like street cred, and better to be lucky than good. But we were in the space doing something, having fun that wasn't really happening yet. And yeah, I don't know. That's
and you met him.
That's about. Yeah. I don't know. We've interacted a bunch on Twitter and the Canadian Open, and yeah, just kind of arranged for that. And he was a good guy, and it was even like pouring rain. And I wish it wasn't, because it could have been like more chill and like longer.
And you would have given him a long embrace.
Always be next. Oh yeah, no, we had a good embrace, but there'll be another, and it'll probably be longer. And he I don't know, he won the European Players last year, outdueled John Rahm on Sunday, pretty much a head-to-head. He's a fancy little player. If he gets. Listen, a lot of guys got their ass beaten at Memorial. But if he gets in a spot versus like an elite player, he has a very like Patrick Reed-esque. Patrick Reed's better than Danny Willett. But like even if Patrick Reed finds himself against those super elites, you know that he's like that match play part of him. Like no, we're fine. We're cool. Like nothing to worry here. Willett is kind of much the same, like really clutch on Sundays when he is in positions to win. Not like 8 back or 6 back of John Rahm and everyone's like waiting for Rahm to fail. And like, I know he like quad bogeyed or something 18 and fucked all the top 20 Willett bets, but if Harding Park raises its teeth, guys like Danny Willett, Matthew Wallace, those are guys that I wouldn't mind. If Harding Park's gonna like roar, those
I hear you.
be those Englishmen that I wouldn't have a problem holding a part of. 125,
they're huge numbers.
150 to 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they deserve to be, and maybe you could do something else with top fives or something, and who knows, when the books kind of reset later in the week, those numbers get higher or lower. It's kind of hard to tell. But conditions aren't going to be – it's going to be cool. It's going to be cool, boys. There'll be a lot of toques. Some of those Euros might feel right at home in a lot of parts of this tournament.
Quarter zip season out there.
Yeah, a lot of these guys ain't used to it. They've been just in through all of COVID, just, you know, summer times in Phoenix and
Jupiter,
Florida and hot Memphis. And yeah, I mean, Cali golf this time of year ain't no joke. I mean, it can be cool at times, and we'll see.
Listen, I wanted to ask you, because we've had some conversations about this. Tell like the people listening to this show sort of the importance of having multiple books and shopping a line in golf and how important that can be.
It's always important. Why not? Hitting a golf winner is so freaking hard. Like, there've been this little run here where a lot of people, myself included, have gotten hot. You kind of feel like silly if you haven't, just because the winning number area has, for the most part, been like in that 20 to 60 range, which is popular to, you know, be able to construct a card within. We have our Michael Thomas outlier. We have our Bryson outlier. There were a handful of Justin Thomas tickets this week. It's not like he wasn't popular, but, you know, it was always hard to differentiate which of those guys at the very top you're going to pull your, going to pull the trigger on. Yeah, so you always got to shop it. The numbers, some of the times it's a couple points. I could see like not giving a crap to like even have to like redeposit in another site and like pay a fee. Like, oh, it's 20 versus 22, like whatever, I'll bite the bullet. Like, what are we, you know, what? Sometimes I'll bet a little extra just to make up for that difference. Just, you know, I'm a mental midget like that sometimes. But you get huge discrepancies, like huge, 90 to 70. Like, you just see it every week. You got to shop. Winning is hard enough. You're giving away free money. It can be real frustrating if you don't have access to a lot of the books. But as especially guys like you down in the States, and Odds Checker is showing you more options that are available to you guys, but the options will only be growing. There's more competition in the space. Totally. The options will certainly be growing.
So, Geoff, what's the best way to navigate betting a major week? I'm kind of new to this. Are we too early to make our bets for the week on a Sunday evening, or should we wait till Wednesday? How do you navigate a major week?
I would say you shouldn't bet them now, although it was probably an annoying – I'll say this. A lot of annoying things happened on Sunday at the WGC. A lot of players played well. Players who people might like, even like craftier low-end players like an Abe Answer per se. And I know there are a few other guys that played fancy today, but I saw Bryson played well and Dustin played well and Xander played well. And obviously Brooks seems like he's back. So a week ago, like, really, I'd have to like bet Brooks at like 12 or 14 to 1 seemed weird. Now it's like, I don't know if Brooks is in form and it's a major. I'm not going to be there because I'm not betting a guy after 30 to 1 at 12. Not that I don't think Brooks can close. You can obviously freaking close, but it's a harder situation. We had a great spot at the St. Jude with those numbers. It's just a great spot. It's kind of like that Dustin spot that he cashed for us. Like, this is a great spot. Like, it's time to go, and we got it. This time we didn't. A lot of luck, Justin being great, Justin being a wizard, whatever, it all happened. But the books, there's competition in the marketplace. I think the books are going to try to be competitive. They're going to, if you want to bet tonight, they're like, okay, bet tonight. You must really need your bet. So I think a lot of the numbers might be a little suppressed right now. Outside of obviously your couple guys that will get steam because they're touted by just a lot of popular people. The books will protect themselves once they sort of see those situations. You can't really blame them per se for that, right? But I would have expected, not a ton of guys would go down between St. Jude and the WGC, but a lot of guys played real nifty weekends. And I'll tell you this, thanks to the Steve Bamford podcast, Bamford Golf, I caught their little early preview released a few days ago. And people might not realize, but the PGA historically, up until last year, was always played right after WGC. I believe the Bridgestone was always after it, and there was always a strong corollary between finishing results at that WGC and playing well at the major. Very rarely was there a guy who even finished outside the top 20 that won that preceding major the next week.
So when you're creating, your card then and your guys who you like this week, and any week for that matter, are you a guy who is on Fantasy National and making stat models and analyzing statistics, or are you an eyeballs the week before?
I'm lucky. I got access. I'm just lucky, Joe. Sorry to interrupt.
You aren't building all kind of models though, are you?
I play around. I do my own thing. I'll find out after I speak with Pat, and I'll even watch his early look shows, and I'll see what's important, and I'll look into that. But just like before, when I, Pat, what do you think? Or this guy, I'm just lucky. I could just turn around and ask this guy what Fantasy Nationals think sometimes. So that was sort of my early delving into it. But yeah, I'm playing around on Fantasy National 100%, always. I have my blend of watching and instinct and asking the math guys and the model guys, and with that pooping out a card. It's like the sausage factory. If I don't want to see a video on how a hot dog's made, I'd never eat it again. But when it comes out, it tastes good. And I like to think I hit my quota winners, so I'll just stick to what I do.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it, Geoff.
Yeah, and there's so many ways to bet golf. You got to find your lane and what works for you. I don't do first round leaders. I feel it's something you should do every week or not at all. I know a lot of guys, the smartest gambling guys that I kind of know, really don't bet outrights. They find edges in the tournament matchups, and they go really hard on those. Because outrights, it's so lucky. You're not getting paid enough. You hit Justin Thomas this week at 12. I don't care. Great player. We should be getting paid more. You hit Michael Thompson at 90 or 100. You should have gotten 350, pal.
Totally.
Nonetheless, I don't think you ever get paid enough, but there's a lot of ways, and you can use Fantasy National to find single round matchups. They're such a variable. You played golf once, anything can kind of happen there. I don't really like to dabble in those, although when you're feeling good and golf starts at 9 a.m, it's sometimes you want to play a few matchups. You can't help yourself. It's all part of the fun. Just do it responsibly.
Let's compare some names, dude. We've grouped some players together. We want your opinion on those, where you're leaning in each group. The first one, favorite of the favorites. You got Brooks, Bryson, Rory, JT, or Rob.
Geez. Honestly, I'll still say Rory, even though this Justin thing is pretty intense, right? After yesterday. But I'm still tempted to say Rory.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. A lot of the course comps I like would still point to Rory.
So
I like JT a lot. It's splitting hairs.
It's so close, right? I know. All right, next group. Breakthrough guy looking for his first major. Who do you think has the best chance this week out of this grouping of guys? Patrick Cantlay, Xander, Ricky, Fleetwood, Finau.
Who are the first ones with Xander?
Xander, Cantlay, Ricky, Fleetwood,
Xander.
Finau.
It's not Xander. There's a couple Cali kids on that list. Fleetwood, another guy, had a little sneaky day potentially, if you like him, or I don't know, played fine. But it's got Xander, not including number, but Xander. And even if you put the betting number in there, it'd probably still be Xander.
So what about the guys that are veterans, that are older? Are they able to compete this week? Out of the people that are kind of iffy, are you going to go with the Tiger, Kuchar, Sergio, Bubba, or Stenson?
Jeez, that is
Old
tough
guy.
because I want to give an answer that does consider the betting line. So I'm going to give an answer that considers the betting line and say Sergio.
Right. Okay.
Even though it was Xander, I'm saying I don't know. Whatever. Sergio.
All right, young guns. New guys. Here we go. The list is Morikawa, Neiman, Victor Hovland, and Matthew Wolff. Who do you like out of that little grouping?
Morikawa, but it's splitting hairs with Hovland. I love all those guys. Morikawa, though. Fairways.
What about the Euros? You like the Euros? Do you like Fleetwood, Fitzpatrick, Hatton, Lowry, or your guy Willett?
Oh, shit. That's a good list. It's a really good list. I could be betting multiple guys on that list from different angles of the card.
Anything 100-1 plus that you like this week?
Yeah, it would be a couple of feisty Euros. I see there's some hundreds on Lowry. There's some post hundreds on Willett and Wallace. Those type of guys. If the course shows a bit of its teeth.
So, Geoff, Tiger, I'm wearing red. He won the WGC at Harding Park 15 years ago. Are we going to see him win it this week? Or what do you expect from Tiger?
I'm not going to say no, but I don't know. I'm just, if it's a yes or no, then I guess I'm not expecting him to win. But I think he'll perform adequately because he's Tiger and he's the freaking man.
A couple of guys, you like to call them sort of big and little, so I wanted to pick your brain here a little bit. Who gets the major first, Finau or Ricky?
That's so freaking tough. I think Finau, because I think the major tracks actually suit him, like better.
Yeah.
Harding Park, like long and straight. Tony freaking Finau. Wingfoot. Like, how are you telling me those courses don't perfectly suit what he does? There's just a problem. But, that's a different matter.
Okay, we know you, Geoff, love the player kits. You're into the clothing. And we're going to have some layers this week. It'll be quarter zip weather. Should we focus on guys that are typically playing like colder weather in the Euro events like Hatton or Fleetwood, or do you factor weather?
Yeah, I do, because a lot of these guys said earlier it'll be uncomfortable. Take them a little bit to get into it, but I think those guys will be right there. You asked me that question about the Euros. I almost want to retake my answer because I'm certain Hatton was on that list, and kind of be silly to not just sort of for the same reason I said Xander on the previous list. As much as my affinity is for Fleetwood, I think I have to change that answer to Hatton. I think it sets up very well for a guy like him.
Well, here's a guy that has long but been forgotten in the golfing world and betting world, but he's back this week. It's the sweet swinging Adam Scott. He just show up and win here, Geoff?
There's very few players in the world. I would say yes to that. I swear to you, to me, let's say Tiger didn't play. Where did we see Tiger? Memorial, was it? Right, Memorial.
Yeah.
Call me crazy. I would give Adam Scott a better chance of being able to drop right in first event out of COVID and win over Tiger. I don't think that would be that crazy. Tiger feels like a guy he's got to just build to some things. Adam Scott is just walks on water. The guy is just pure
Class.
Yeah, I don't even know what the right words, because it's kind of like erotic, but I don't like really feel it. But he's like literally like the man and super special. I don't know, all smooth, all grace. Like I'm a huge fan. That guy slays. Like they'll just leave it at that. Leave it at that.
Dude, you know who you're not a fan of? If you follow the Pat Mayo Experience or you follow G Fienberg 17 on Twitter, you'll know that Geoff is not confident that Spieth will come back and get another major. Are we going to replay this narrative every year for the rest of our lives? Is he going to win the PGA Championship ever, or is he ever going to complete this Grand Slam?
Oh geez, you know what? That's so weird. Like of all the things you almost forget, yeah, it's his Grand Slam piece. I don't know about completing the Grand Slam. I'm extremely confident he's going to win again. Winning a major seems hard, but guy makes enough birdies. I like to pick on him, but people notice I can bump him up a little too. I mean, he's kind of proven my point. Sometimes it's like, stop, he's already dead, like from the Simpsons stuff. Like I
Twitter's
don't
crazy
even feel like I don't even feel like I'm the meanest anymore. I just kind of feel like I was there really freaking early.
First, yeah.
So
For sure.
I'm kind of like a face of the campaign, and I'm happy to be I'm happy to be the face of that brand. And trust me, even though like I could even pick his win, like bet on it, and I'll still like people still want me to eat crow when he wins. So for that, I'm kind of.
That's what happens, Geoff, when you become like odds checkers guy and you got 18,000 followers and people follow every word you say.
No, whatever. I said it all out there. But I don't know. The Masters, yes, makes a lot of sense. Some of these like long and straight dogleg layouts at major championship length,
Listen, speaking of long,
but I would have never. Yeah, I don't, because the PGA Championship, unlike the U.S. Open, they're not trying to make it a plus, an even, a -2, a +2. They're really happy. What did JT win with today? 14, 13, 12? It's all a blur.
13.
13, yeah. A score like that wouldn't bother the PGA of America. Like, I think they aim for like 8 to 12, and if it's 13 or 14 or, there's nothing you're going to be able to do if one of those like super elites decides like they're just going to take it apart and they're in like full form.
Here's a couple super elites. All right. Assuming that they finally give us what we want and pair them together, Brooks and Bryson, they pair those two guys together. Do you see that being an advantage to one player versus the other being in the same group mentally?
They're not going to do it. They're not that cool.
Come on.
They're not.
Well, I mean, would it be an advantage? Yes. I think Brooks would like crave it. I think it would play into like the shit that Brooks allows himself to build himself up with. And I think it's kind of just with something that could potentially like be a distraction for a guy like Bryson. But I think it would play right into like Bryson's hands. Brooks's hands of like what motivates him, and he's the only player on the planet that I literally care about his motivation. Like everyone wants to win. Everybody wants to win so badly. Some might want the money more than the trophy, but like to think one guy wants it more, to me, I fail to like buy that aspect of Brooks. Right. But he builds himself up.
They all want to win. They're going to try to win. Who is going to win? Who is your preferred play of the PGA Championship?
Preferred play of the PGA Championship. Xander Schauffele. Schauffele.
Oh my gosh. Are we a real
boy?
Does this mean we're a real podcast?
I don't know. He's on a real podcast. I guess maybe him showing face here gives us a little glimmer of hope. But hey, we can reach for the top and only hope, right?
Definitely. Listen, it's time to crack a beer and make the turn. Crack open the
PGA,
betting
baby.
board.
Let's go.
And you know what? It's a stacked field.
Oh, really?
You didn't have to say that, but it's kind of crowded at the top, though, Joe. Some of these books,
No
they might be
shit.
confused. You know what? They're going to try to compete for your money, so they're giving us a 10-1 on Brooks Koepka, the two-time defending PGA Championship champ. He's here. He almost won just now. This is Sunday evening. Joe and I record in our garages. Well, you know, look at Joe. Look at I. We're hashtag not touts. We're doing this for fun. Although we have real guests on and put this on iTunes, that doesn't mean we're real people. Joe's got to deal with the tropical storm, and I got a kid's iPad that's running out of batteries. We got to deal with factors. So don't take us too seriously, and don't bet more than you can lose, because that's what we're doing, betting losers. Are we, though, Joe? Because last week you cashed JT. We've almost cashed between the two of us every single week we've done this. It's been great.
I know.
Are we doing it? What are we doing with Brooks Koepka? Are we going to cash in on Brooks this week?
I'm happy about JT. I really, really wish he would have saved that for this week, but I can't be mad about a winner. But all right, so I was looking through the odds board this morning, and I wrote down some things, and I have two guys here listed, and neither one of them are Brooks. My mind may have totally changed. I'm anxious to see what the numbers come out tomorrow morning, which will be Monday, to see if he gets any sort of boost there. I doubt it, but if I can catch a 12 or a 13, I may have to consider it. He looks strong. He looks fit. He looks like he dropped a little bit of weight. You could just tell kind of in his face. I did see him limping a little bit on that back nine. I think that him being in contention caused him to put in a little bit of extra work on the range this week. We know he had all the coaches in. I think he may have had some lengthier range sessions, knowing that he needed the FedEx Cup points and he needed that first place. This was his opportunity. Is it going to wear it down? I don't know, but it's a major championship season. Q Brooks Koepka, never a bad play.
Okay, so he's at the top at 10-1, and then you also have our guy right there, JT, 11, and then you have Bryson also and Rory. They're looking at 11 right now. Rahm at 14, DJ at 18, and that's your under 20 range. Any interest in JT again? Even though I know you got the 110 because you got the parlay from the Sony or what, the Tournament of Champions or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Do you like him this week?
I love him this week. I'm not going to bet him at 11-1 when I already have a parlay in there with him at 20-1 though. But I do think that Justin Thomas is the best golfer on the planet right now. I think he's the best player in the world.
Didn't he just take over the world number one spot? I believe he did.
Did he? I'm not even sure if he did, but if not, my eyeball test tells me he's the best. Look, his approach numbers are unbelievable. If you run some models on Fantasy National, which is the site that I use, I know you use as well. If anyone's not out there, you can kind of build your custom stat models. Any way you slice it for the PGA Championship, it's coming up Justin Thomas, number one. I kind of wish they showed the margin between the rankings because I feel like he's got a substantial pillow there underneath him between number two. Best player in the world, great putter. Interesting to see kind of what goes on with the caddy there. But in terms of Brooks, Rory, Bryson up there at the top, I got JT over all of them.
Yeah,
what about you?
I mean, just based on form, based on the fact that you've seen JT do well, but you've seen Bryson do it. He kind of has stumbled since taking a little bit of a break after his win at the Rocket Mortgage. So Bryson, I could see it. This is going to need a bomber. You're going to need to have accuracy. You need to not be in the rough. And if you are in the rough, you need to be beefy Bryson or beefy Rahm or DJ. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. What are you going to do? But what's confused to me is that Rory is coming in underrated kind of and a little bit ignored. Maybe you can catch the books sleeping on Rory. Maybe they'll lower Rory's number.
100% he's coming in very underprofiled, right? He's not going to get a lot of love this week. He's not going to get a lot of people betting on him. I think the book number still represents they understand the value of Rory McIlroy. However, I'm not going anywhere near it. His approach numbers are off. His driver isn't even treating him great. and he's flipping back and forth between putters mid-tournament, which tells me it's not so much about that. It's a confidence thing, right? If you're confident in your putter, you're not changing it. If you're switching it, it means you feel like you have no feel and you're trying to find something on the greens. All adds up to not a good scenario before a major championship.
Right on. Or he found the one he likes and did well or decently today in round 4. So maybe that he's found something he can lead into something. If you do want someone who has found something, maybe you can go to the 20 and under range right here. Xander, when I wrote this, Joe, Xander was at 22 and now he's at 20 because of his round 4, maybe today at WGC. So they are adjusting numbers on a book I'm looking at. You also under 30 in the 20s. Webb Simpson, 22. Cantlay, 25. And Tiger, 25. Are you doing anything with – I'm wearing the red. Are we going to – do we trust Tiger's back in this cold coast weather? I don't know. Is it stupid to wear red?
I don't trust it. It's pretty much that simple. I just feel if he was feeling right, he would have played more often, especially leading into a major. We all saw it. Things did not look right at Memorial. That was either the first or the second round when he was really grabbing at it. He kind of grinded his way through the weekend. I just have a hard time imagining, especially now that the conditions are a little bit chillier, that he can just show up here and win, especially at a course that is really, in my mind, really going to reward distance off the tee. That was his strength, back in 2005 when he won the WGC here. It's no longer his strength, right? He's not bombing it out there with the likes of these other guys. I'm on Xander in this range. I have an earlier number, an older ticket on that as well. But look, 9 of the last 10 events he's played in, he's top 25. He's got that combination of distance and accuracy. So not only is he long enough off the tee, but he hits it really straight. And he's a guy that I trust in a major championship, even though he hasn't won yet, even though he doesn't have that sort of signature win. I've seen him compete and I haven't seen him fold. We've seen other guys who have come into these events with a 2-stroke lead on a Sunday and kind of melt down under pressure. I've seen him rise up the leaderboards on Sunday and just not quite get there. Back in California, I guess is somewhat of a narrative. It's not Poa grass. It's bent this week, which is a little unique for the West Coast. I just trust him. Oh, I have something to say real quick. Okay. So in terms of futures betting, right, I take a lot of flack for this shit every year because I put out all these futures at the beginning of the year. Is the best thing you could possibly do for the major championships, guys. I'm going to give you some of these numbers. Now, listen, golf is so hard to bet and pick winners. If you can catch extra points in places, it's massive. We talked to Mike Miller about the amount of juice that you lay on an outright bet. So when I took the JT bet, he was 20-1 at that time. By the time tomorrow hits, he's probably going to be single digits, 8 or 9. I've got a 35 on Xander. He's 25 now. These are all the pin tweet on my profile. Cantlay, I've got 10 points on, 35 to 25. Woodland, I've got 10 points on. Sanjay Im, I've got 100 points on. He's 40-1, and I have a 140-1 ticket. It makes a ton of sense if you can isolate these guys, especially guys that you see rising over the next couple months. You're not going to take John Rahm now or Bryson now to win the Masters. You want to try to buy low and get to the point where you can sell high and come into a major championship, 10, 12, 15 points in the positive. That's how you can gain back a little bit of advantage on these books where the lines are so juiced against you. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
No, I get it. Dude, my dad's a mutual fund guy. You got to know about the future. You got to think in the future. Okay. I will say about Tiger, I don't want the bet at 25-1 to win, but Joe, we do DraftKings. That's an alternative that you can do to betting, and then you can use Tiger on DraftKings where he isn't wanted, and that's kind of a strategy. You can galaxy brain your lineup and put Tiger in it, but don't galaxy brain your lineup doing to 25-1 on Tiger when he hasn't really shown that he can do anything. His back's kind of iffy. The course might be too long for him. The rough might be too long and penal, and guess what? He's got the U.S. Open in a month from now. He's got the Masters in 3 months from now. Like, he's more worried about the future for him, too. So maybe avoid Tiger. I don't know. He could definitely show up and win. He's fucking Tiger Woods, but at the same time, go to the guys in the 30s.
Tiger tracks. Yeah. Okay.
Don't you think? I don't know. We'll see.
Lay it on me. Who you got?
Now, in the 30s, you have names, juicy names, okay? Morikawa's here. They're all at 33-1 right now. Well, they were. Let me see if anything's changed. So, no, you have a lot of guys at 33-1. Morikawa, Matsuyama, Spieth, Rose, Fowler, Fleetwood, Finau. I mean, that could be the leaderboard when it's all said and done. And I think my favorite actually might be Fowler, despite the way that he choked today. Because I think he cared. No, he will know. He will know what he did wrong, and he will know the misses that he needs to improve on in the next 3-4 days to get himself into a better position for the win that he wants, the major. So I picked Fowler a long time ago, thinking about it, knowing that he wants to major, knowing everybody was off of him. So I kind of did the future thing and thought about Fowler and knowing no one liked him at the time. So I went with 33 on Fowler. He probably going to be 33 when it said it done. But at the same time, I don't know. Maybe if he would have won today, that would have gone to the 20s. Now, I'm a big narrative guy. I like narratives. And the narrative in the 30s is Jordan Spieth. He needs that PGA to complete the career Grand Slam. And at 33-1, it's probably a stupid, bad number. That's another one where you can go, okay, 33 on Jordan for real?
I almost forgot about that narrative. It's been so long since he won.
Well, he was T3 or something last year, so they were in it. He was in it, had a chance at it, was in terrible form, way worse form than he is now. So he gets up. Now, there are some people that will use these last 4 rounds or some of these tournaments leading in. Jason Day is one of them. Adam Scott's another one. Usually that these veteran guys will practice shots that they know they're going to need to hit, and they're going to have to put in pressure situations in majors and things that matter. So when he's out of it and you see he gets a double bogey, I don't know, maybe he's trying something because he doesn't care about getting top 10 in WGC when he knows that. I don't know. That's another thought maybe. But what the problem is with Jordan is that he cannot avoid the bad hole, the bad shot on that bad hole. So it's just one shot every couple holes. I mean, it's crazy. He scrambles out of these situations that he puts himself in. But at the same time, can you do that in a major, Joe? Or this is risky? I mean, if he was 66, I like that a lot better. But I don't know. What are you doing with Spieth?
I'm not on Spieth this week. I have kind of a common theme that I'm looking toward. You know, I talked a little bit with Geoff about it earlier, but you look at the PGA and the U.S. Open, these rotating courses who are able to kind of set the course up exactly the way they want it. They're setting it up difficult. They're setting it up long. They're moving the tees back every square inch they possibly can. It's bombers. It's JT. It's Dustin Johnson. It's Brooks. Those are the guys that are winning these U.S. Open and PGA championships. I don't think Spieth hits it long enough. I don't think Fowler hits it long enough to compete. There is a guy in here, and you can shop this price around a little bit. I've seen it in the mid-40s. I know here on Bovada is at 33. You're going to call me crazy, and I'm going to catch some shit for this, but it's Tony Finau. Look, hear me out.
I know.
I listened to Finau's podcast, right? And he's totally changed his mindset. The past about 3 weeks ago, he shifted his entire game around, and he's open and talks about it. So Finau was hitting the ball at 200-mile-an-hour ball speed when he was 16 years old. Bryson just now eclipsed that mark. Finau's been doing it since he was 16. He has spent basically his entire amateur and PGA Tour career with Boyd Summerhays trying to neutralize that and dial that back to like a 75% three-quarter swing that he could control. He's done with it. He's seen what Bryson has done. He said, let me go after this thing as hard as I can possibly swing it. He has a personal goal to be the first PGA Tour player to eclipse that 200-mile-an-hour ball speed in an actual event. He's going to do it. He plays really well at major championships. He talked about that as well, how the lower the winning score is and the harder that the course plays, the better Tony Finau plays. He's good in the wind. He's good with long irons. Do I necessarily think he's ready to win a major championship? I don't know, but listening to him, it hasn't really affected him mentally as much as you would think as it affects us as bettors. He doesn't seem to have the scar tissue. He talked about getting rid of his caddy, which I think was a very wise move for him because his decision-making, certainly down the stretch at Memorial, was questionable at best. I think he's going to go with Boyd again, it sounds like, on for the PGA Championship, which is a more comfortable spot for him. He plays well in these majors. He plays well in open championships overseas that I've heard some comps to this as well. I think if you can find something in the 40 range on Finau, it is a worthy bet. Believe it or not.
No, I know his major record. I wrote it down. I have this course form guide, recent form guide that I'm going to post tomorrow with everyone, little notes on every player. And one of the notes I pulled from Tony is that he's had 6 top 10s in his 15 majors.
That's very strong. The only other guy I have here, and I have it at a 50. I think he's like, you can get it around a 45 now, is Gary Woodland. He's in that sort of middle range, just obviously won on the West Coast last year. We all know that with the US Open, but another guy who has a nice balance of distance times accuracy. When he switched drivers a few weeks ago at the workday, his accuracy improved tremendously, went back to that old driver he used at the US Open. Another good long iron player, another good player in the wind. If he can scramble and putt pretty well, I think he can go well this week.
Okay, well, you could probably get that in the 40s. We can't leave the 30s without talking about Morikawa. Colin Morikawa, the California guy, said on a press conference 2 weeks ago that he's played this course 10 or 15 times. He doesn't even remember how many times he's played here. He's played so much. And he could name any of the holes, I guess. There are names of holes, and he knows them all. So I feel comfortable betting on Morikawa. As soon as I heard that in the press conference, I'm a sucker for that kind of shit. So I went and bet on him. And he would bet him on 40, and now he's at 33. So there you go, in your face.
We've heard some of this stuff. The only part that I'm leery about is, one, I don't know if he's long enough, and two, we've seen guys play their home course before, and then all of a sudden they set it up totally differently for a PGA tournament. This is that times 10. So this course plays as a very short, like 7,000 yard par 72. They're going to ramp it up on some days plus 400 yards and trim 2 of the 500-yard par 5s into par 4s. It's going to play completely different. They cut the fairways in half from what they normally are. So, yes, he has seen it. Is that going to work as a huge advantage? I don't know, because I think it's a brand new golf course.
The advantage is minuscule. And if it's confidence, Joe, and it gives Morikawa just a little hint of something, then at 33 or whatever, I don't know. I'll take it. Let's go into the 40s. You were mentioning that Woodland's there. Well, you could bet Woodland. You could get Adam Scott, Jason Day, Patrick Reed, Sung Jae at 40 now, and Hatton. I like Jason Day. In fact, I bet him a couple weeks ago at 50, and now he's at 40, and he probably will drop after his performance in round 4 today and his performance at the WGC. He has consistently played well, and I've seen it. I've been watching it. I've been clicking him, so I've been following. And, Joe, last summer at about this time, he said, I'm going to try to become number 1 in the world again. And we all laughed at him. And he hired Stevie Williams. And then about a couple weeks after that, he fired Stevie Williams. And he was bad. He went from firing people to bad. So he was like miscut, T40, miscut, just meddling bad. And then he got a little better. He got a T16 this January at the Farmers Insurance. He got T4 at Pebble. So we were like, oh, okay, maybe he's serious. But then he was bad again. He was hurt, withdrew from the API, ruined people. And then the COVID happened. We were all like, Jason Day is going to retire. Why would he ever come back? And then he came back. And we were like, what a fool. Because he started miscut, T46 miscut. So then everyone's like, what the hell? But I was playing him still because I'm an idiot. So, and I've been following. And what happened to him? Well, he missed the cut by 1 like 5 different times. And was putting terrible. And Jason Day's a really good putter, and he was having these great looks at birdie and not capitalizing, then missing cuts by 1, which, in my opinion, helped Jason Day because he didn't have to grind those weekend rounds at T50 and just work his back, go home and rest, or he could do something else, maybe work on putting, which it seems like he did because he missed those cuts. And then he came to Muirfield, his home, Ohio World, T7 at Workday. Oh, but it was Workday setup, so he won't go back at Memorial and do well. Boom, T4 at Memorial, and boom. Well, if he did fuck up 18, he'd probably another T5 today at the WGC. So he's had like 3 great showings in a row. You can get Jason Day at 40. The dude has won a major before. It was 5 years ago. It was here. Or it was PGA. And he's been runner-up 3 other majors. So 40-1, you get the guy at 40-1, and maybe you hedge him on Sunday when he's in contention, and he'll be runner-up. Who cares? 40-1? Solid number. And then Hatton, too. About a month ago, dude, I was just loving the fact that you could get Hatton at 40. I was like, by the time this closes, this is going to be 25. He was on fire. He's legit one of the best statistical players this season so far, Tyrrell Hatton.
Mm-hmm.
He putted maybe too well, though. So he shows up after taking a break at the WGC and kind of has a dud.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe they've knocked some rust off, and I like it. 40, he's still at 40, so get him. Hatton.
Yeah, I actually, my other book that I have, which is typically better numbers than Bovada almost always across the board, actually has Hatton at a 28. I think that's been there for a little while, so they may move that back. But the 40 is a pretty good number. You know, I did a ton of digging into this course. I'm not great in my mind of creating comp courses and corollaries, but I do see some similarities between the two that came to my mind were the Arnold Palmer and the Heritage. Hatton played tremendously well in both of those. One, I think he was second or third in the other.
Mm-hmm.
I like Hatton. I'm not going to probably go there at 40 just because I already have the guys that I do, but I can see that play. To me, I would lean Hatton over Jason Day.
Okay, well, you could go to the 50s and have Daniel Berger. I just put a bet on Daniel Berger at 50.
Did you?
Because why not? I liked what I see. And then he kind of stumbled a little bit. He missed a putt and then, didn't finish strong. So I feel like he's left a little meat on the bone, and he will come back, Daniel Berger, next week. Maybe he just liked TVC Southwind, and he was doing well the last couple of months. He won the Charles Schwab. But Berger at 50, that just seemed too high to me, so I'll take it.
Yeah, Berger, it seems like a solid number for Berger. He's played his third and fourth rounds this year have been tremendous. He doesn't always start out hot, but he's been playing the weekends as good as any player on tour. I don't maybe this is just in my mind. I don't have any stats to back this up, but I just feel like Berger is more of an East Coast. Like you get in Florida, you get along the East Coast, and that's Daniel Berger's spot. Not so much out west, but he's a fine play there, and at 50 plus seems like a solid number.
Joe, let's be honest here. I'm kind of a bad bettor. I also like to bet on everybody, so sometimes don't take my advice.
No, don't take my advice either. We're all bad bettors. Nobody's a good bettor in this industry. It's not about the picks. It's about the entertainment. All right, but anyways.
I love to entertain myself, for sure.
The rest of those guys in the 50s, the group of old guys in Casey and Kuchar and Oosthuizen, forget them all. 66, I'm going up to. And I haven't bet this yet, but I do like, and this kind of goes against my entire narrative of Bombers, but I'm going to take Matt Fitzpatrick, I think. He's just been playing so good. He plays really well when the conditions get hard. I have the Bomber narrative and just going with distance. So I want to also, if accuracy is going to be very important this week, which it could, we've seen Jim Furyk play well here before. We've seen another guy talk about later and Willett play well here before, but not long hitters. Fitzpatrick fits that mold. He's like top 5 in accuracy gained or good drives gained, whatever they call it on Fantasy National. He's been scoring really well lately. Also played well at the Heritage. Also played well at the API. Played well at the Memorial. Snuck in there. I don't know what he finished at the WGC a few hours ago, but he snuck in there for a little late run as well. Just seems to find himself on leaderboards.
Dude, he collapsed on 18. His putter finally
failed. A lot of guys
him.
collapsed on 18. And I think that had Brooks not gone in the water there, Justin Thomas may have collapsed on 18. The thing about JT is, man, are you there?
Oh, it was 17 he collapsed on.
Oh, okay.
So he ended up finishing T6, by the way. So he might not get looked at.
That's a great finish.
Yeah.
That's a great finish. And he's 66-1. That may flirt up into the 70s or 80s as the week goes on. I would hold on that until maybe Tuesday or Wednesday because I don't feel like he's going to be that much of a popular pick, especially with these books that are concentrated mostly with bettors in the U.S. They're going to come in.
I got one more name in 66 range, and that's Sergio Garcia, because I took this bet a long time ago when I saw his irons were hot and his putter was bad. And so I thought, one of these days Sergio's going to find his putter, and it hasn't happened. So I think he's waiting for the big tournament. I think he's waiting for that. He's got the experience. He's been around forever.
They were saying that in 2010, one of these days he's going to find his putter.
Oh.
It's been a while. It's been a long
He found
time
it in
coming for him.
2017 at the Masters. That was his last
He did.
win.
He did. He can ball strike with anybody. We'll see.
But yeah, whatever. It's one of those things like Kuchar too. These guys, they're old, they're veterans, they're savvy, they'll hang around, and maybe 66 they'll sneak into the top 5. You can hedge them.
Yeah, they're not going to
Or
blow
do top
up,
5 bet.
right? Kuchar, these guys aren't going to have like your double bogeys that are just going to crush you. They're going to be grinding for pars all week most of these holes.
Dude, let's get to the long shots. Are you even betting a long shot in a major? It seems kind of silly.
It's silly, but I've got a couple. What the hell? I just hit a winner. One of them. So I had my eyes on this guy. I'm also, and then I saw a friend of mine, Don, post that this was his pick, and he picked him last year at the Open Championship. But a guy that has been sneaking the fuck up leaderboards is Shane Lowry. Very under the radar, very well. If it gets windy and we get a little rain, and my guy on the course there described it as damp and lush. That seems to fit Shane Lowry. That reminds me a little bit of Portrush last year, where he ran away with things. If the winning score ends up around 8 to 10 under par, he can win.
Dude, yeah.
125 to 1. I got him at.
Okay. What about another Euro guy named Matt Wallace? You've talked about him
Yep.
the last couple pods. He's 100 to 1. I think that's a misprice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was 175 to 1 2 weeks ago. But I think he played really shitty this week, and I kind of expected him to play well. That said, the harder the conditions, typically the better Matt Wallace plays. Another Englishman I like up there is Danny Willett. I know he's popular this week, but they still have him at 150 to 1. Won the consolation match of the match play in 2015, so he finished third in there. Listen, I put something about this in the course preview, but the English guys fared really, really well that week in the match play. I don't necessarily know why, but 64-man field, almost half, 29 of those guys were Americans. Only 2 made the quarterfinals, 2 out of 29. It's only 7 Englishmen in the field. 3 of them made the quarterfinals. So something about this course
Joe?
set up really well for them.
Those American boys, they're just weak, and they can't handle that cold weather, that wind and rain. They're not from Minnesota.
I don't know the weather conditions that week, but I know Danny Willett was in a pool, in a pod or whatever they call them, with the match play savant himself and Patrick Reed, and annihilated him in that match to kick him out of the tournament. Made it all the way to the 3rd place. We've seen him win a major, right? So major champion, why not? If the score plays really low and plays difficult and the wind kicks up a little bit, he can go.
Not a major winner, but a winner, Joaquin Niemann. You could get him at 100 to 1. His iron play was on fire this week, dude, and he could not putt. And I saw it going into round 4, and then he did pretty well. He had like 6 birdies today. And then 100 to 1 on a California boy, Cameron Champ. He might like it colder because he could bomb it over everything anyway, and maybe he doesn't care. Maybe he's used to it. So Cameron Champ's to triple digits.
Hey, let it rip.
More ripping, 200s. Okay, I got some names. Lucas Glover, he's down there. Guy ran off like 3 top 20s in a row, or 3 top 25s in a row just recently. He's a major winner before.
That may be a good top 10, top 20 bet, yeah.
Right, but him winning, maybe not. But 200 to 1, that'd be nice. Ches too? What?
Yeah, Ches is going to be pretty popular this week, I imagine.
Is that bad chalk?
We'll see. We'll see what the percentages come out. I don't know if he's long enough, but we saw him do it at the U.S. Open last year at Pebble, right? And then he came back like the week after that and won. Another guy that I had circled here at 250 to 1 until his finish today was Tom Lewis. He's like the 6th guy from the bottom of the odds board. Look, we've seen him play well on the Corn Ferry Tour. We've just seen him play really well in a WGC and get hot and put together a couple of really low rounds. I think now his popularity is going to be to the point where it makes him not a great play anymore. But we'll see what the numbers shake out at. I think he could be a decent top 20 bet if he stays around this 250 to 1 number.
Top 20 bet? Maybe do Siwoo Kim. He's 200 to 1. Or Luke List. He won the Korn Ferry Tour, and he's been performing. Luke List showed up at the Open last year. He likes harder courses, I think, or I've been noticing at least. And then
showed
Ryan
up at the
Palmer,
PGA Championship too, right? Luke List.
Does he? Yeah, exactly.
I think he top 5 there. Yeah.
Let's get that. I don't know, for 200 to 1. That's another one where you just hedge.
Bomber,
put $1 on that.
Bomber, baby.
Ryan Palmer is 250 to 1, and he was just in contention at the Memorial. He's had a great round today, and 250 to 1. Now, I wouldn't do that to win, maybe, but at least, these are top 20 bets. Top 10
These guys aren't winning. Come on. Major season. You guys know that. We don't have to tell you that.
Yeah. Oh, overall, take into consideration just everything. You can't just look at last week or just look at strokes gained tee to green and how they've done. And you kind of have to take a little bit of the historically good, recently good, likes California. You kind of have to do a little shake of your brain and have a little amnesia and do what Josh Perry says. He said when we talked to him, he was like, take one guy that's been good at majors, one guy that's narrative guy, California, one guy who's historically good but overlooked. And then you get a little mix of that, and that's your card. And you don't go with like all guys that are one specific category. Does that make sense?
Totally, absolutely. And the other thing is you have to, really look at the prices that you have available for these players. A lot of times a bet that's 40 to 1 no longer makes sense at 33 to 1. And a guy may be 40 to 1 and you overlook him, but become Wednesday night, he's 55 to 1 and it's worth it. You have to really think like that in terms of not so much analyzing the player, but analyzing the number and what's the expected win rate in your mind. Take players that you want to root for. It's a major championship where it's going to be a long week ahead of us of analyzing content. And then you've got 4 long days of play. These guys are going to be playing past my kids' bedtime at night. They're still going to be on the course, which will be fun. But it's going to be a lot of golf. Take guys that you want to win. Have fun. Don't bet too much or bet all you have. I don't care.
Joe, it's hard to say on a Sunday night at 7:30 or 8:30 Eastern that you could really have a card set up, but because we have made some bets, we do have bets. That's why we could talk about it tonight. But if you want to follow us on Twitter, Joe is at Tour Picks. I am at Edina Real CHE. That we will tweet out things, and on Wednesday we'll tweet you our exact picks. If you have any questions or you're contemplating a name, making a thought, and you want our opinion for some reason, DM us. DM the Preferred Lines Podcast Twitter account. We're open and willing to chat. So
I answer DMs, so holler at me. Listen, in all seriousness, though, I think we're on maybe our 9th or 10th episode. Thank you guys for taking the time to listen to us talk about golf. We're excited about the first major of the season. Download, rate, review, whatever you want to do. Like it on Twitter, whatever you want to do to kind of support us. We genuinely appreciate you. And if you have any questions, like Chad said, we're always available to chat. Just shoot us a message and we'll get back to you. Cool?
And Joe, we appreciate our front 9 guest of the week, Geoff
Holy
Fienberg,
moly.
a real person. So
yep. And check out him. His show is probably the best show that you can possibly watch. Everyone knows about it, but him and Mayo will go through the entire odds boards. He'll give all more of his detailed picks then, and great to speak with Geoff. Hopefully we'll get to talk to Pat sometime soon. But hey, thanks, buddy. We appreciate you coming on.
All right. Good luck this week. Win a hashtag mega profit.
Let's
Buy
go
yourself
PGA,
something nice.
baby.
Let's go.
Woo!
Peace out, Joe.
Peace.